The first miracle, so to speak, that happened in my family was of my grandfather. He was brought back to life when he was a small child. I sat down to meditate in the early morning, and I found that for the first time, my mind just went and was gone. The next moment, there was a fountain of bliss, is what you can call it, that erupted from my heart. And I thought, my God, what's going on? Because I never experienced something like that before. It's absolutely out of the world. I experienced it, and I remember thinking to myself, is this the Atma? Am I self-realized? No. It's not like there is one state of bliss and you jump into it when you want and you calm down. It's like a whole shade of colors. And if you practice and if you keep Swami in your mind all the time, if you keep divinity in your mind all the time, you can continue to move up and up like a wave. Nowadays, my practice has been more recently to just have my mind on Swami, not to ask him for anything. That brings the real ecstasy. You can very quickly go to a much higher level if you stop thinking about Swami but just think Swami. Once apparently a lady in Australia went to Swami, and in the interview room she said, Swami, please teach me how to meditate, please teach me how to meditate. And Swami said, no. She kept pestering Swami, please teach me to meditate. And then Swami said, what is this? And she said, Swami, meditation. And Swami said, no, this is a Westerner wasting her time. Swami once gave me my dream. And he asked me, what is my message? What is my message? And I was thinking, oh my God, there's 35 volumes of Satya Sai speaks. How am I going to tell him what his message is? And then he looked at me and he smiled, and then he winked at me and he said, love all, serve all.
Sriraag Balaji Srinivasan, a devout follower of Sri Satya Sai Baba. Sai Baba's most profound teachings have already guided Sriraag to discover the ecstasy of bliss. Sriraag, a medical student in Australia, also tells us about his many major contributions to the seva and work of Souljourns. Welcome to Souljourns. The Skype interview between Australia and California was recorded on June 2nd, 2017. Sriraag Sairam.
Saram, Dad, Saram.
Welcome to Souljourns. But how are you, first of all?
I'm pretty good. I'm good as usual. I'm happy.
I think you're 21 years old now.
Yes.
You're living in Perth, Australia with your parents. You're in medical school?
Yes, I'm in medical school.
And you figure out what kind of a doctor you're going to be when you grow up yet?
I have no clue. The kind of Dr. Swami wants me to be.
Correct answer. Okay. You got an A on that one. You're 21 years old. I think of you as a devout spiritual practitioner on the path to full realization. Now that's a mouthful, but I really believe that's who you are and where you are. So for the benefit of those who are watching this interview, Sriraag, how did it begin?
It's a long story, but the first miracle, so to speak, that happened in my family was of my grandfather. He was brought back to life when he was a small child, whom nobody knew. He'd come out of the blue, and he was raised back from the dead.
I just happen to know that saint's name here. I believe it's Arunagiri.
Yes, Arunagiri. That's right. That's what he called himself.
And he brought your grandfather back to life.
Yes, he passed away when he was very small. I think 5 years or 3 years or something. He was bitten by a snake in rural India, and they were taking the body to cremate the body, and on the way, I think a saint came up to them, to my great-grandfather, and told him that this was not the time for this person to die, and that he had come from the mountains to save this child. And they said, well, you're a bit late, because he's already passed away. And he said, no. And he said, get me a few eggs. He gave a particular number, some 50 eggs or 20 eggs or something. Get me a few eggs, I'll do some mantras and bring him back to life. And so they said, we can't do that. So what my father tells me is that probably it was a test or something. No? Do you stick to your ideals, or you say, oh, I want the child or something? So basically he said, no, we won't bring the eggs. And he said, all right, so get me some dal and some other items, and he said, make round balls out of them and bring them. So the household members ran into the house and made all that and got it ready. Then they took those items and they went to the cremation ground, while the body was still lying outside the house. And apparently they spent a few hours there in the cremation ground, and the saint was throwing those balls into the air, and he was chanting some mantras. And apparently my great-grandfather, when the balls went into the air, he saw some sort of fire. My father tells me from what his father told him. After that they came back, and the man did something, and my grandfather started to breathe again. Wow. And he had actually been declared dead by the I think it was there was some sort of a small hospital or dispensary or whatever.
Do you remember or have any idea more or less what year we're talking about here?
Must be 1940s.
Okay. So that sounds ancient to you, but I was born in the 1940s. So that gives a good perspective for me. So, yeah. So does anybody have ever put together in the intervening 70 years who this Guru Arunagiri might have been?
I did search online out of interest, and I found out that there was a saint by name Arunagiri in the 16th or 17th century. I think if people look it up on Wikipedia, they'll be able to find it. His story of how he became a self-realized being. And he was then, he's supposed to have left his body for doing something, and some people who had evil intentions, they burnt his body when he had left it going on an astral travel or something. Mm-hmm. So when he came back, he didn't have the body. He took the form of a parrot and he said, I'll continue to live. That's what he said.
Parrot?
I something like that. I saw it in a movie called Arunagiri, so I'm not sure whether that's true or not. But that's what happened, apparently. But also another thing is that the mountain Arunachala.
Yes.
It's home to Ramana Maharishi's ashram, and when he was there. That is also called Arunagiri, which means the Aruna mountain.
Yes. Now, to your knowledge, even though this would have been years after Shirdi Sai Baba left his former young man alive in Puttaparthi, doing most of his teaching and everything else that he brought to the world that were blessings for people, did this have anything to do with Sai Baba, to your knowledge?
I don't know. It may have, it may not have. I'm not really sure. But my father did once show me that in one of Swami's Satyasai Speaks, Swami had mentioned the name Arunagiri. So who knows? Who knows? And Swami's first bhajan was Manasa Bhajate Guru Charanam, and at the end he says Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva.
If my son died at a young age and this Swami appeared from nowhere asking for eggs or dal and contributed to bringing him back to life, I would be on the spiritual path and no truck could pull me off of it. Was your father likewise from the get-go a strong spiritual seeker because of that experience?
My grandfather did start to think that person was a particular deity, their family deity, who is also to live on the hills, and that saint had said that he's from the hills. So that deity's name is Balaji or Srinivasan. So he worships that person, that god, and he says that he was the one who saved me. There was nothing particularly spiritual, I think, inclination-wise, but just a religious tradition and a great sense of belief. But my father, for some reason or the other, he was an atheist from when he was he was a young child.
Really? Even though his father had this miraculous rebirth?
My father told me that he never believed the story. He said it was probably not true.
Well, the key question here, Sriraag, is your grandfather alive still?
Yes, he is. He's still alive.
And your dad does not believe his dad's story?
No, he didn't believe it then. Now he does. He's the one who told me the story.
Yeah, and did you have any trouble believing it when you first became aware of it?
Well, I'd already heard of so many stories of Swami bringing people back to life. But it was something that, oh my God, I never knew such a thing happened in my family.
So how did your father, I presume it was your parents who brought you to Baba, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So your father, who's this atheist, whose own father was reborn, how did he find God?
So what happened was my father, this is very interesting. Both my parents, when they were young, they were introduced to Swami, but they were not devotees of Swami. My mother was in the Bal Vikas, but he never believed, so to speak. And apparently, after my father got married and they were living together in Delhi, my father had brought a small idol. We still have that idol here, a small idol of Shirdi Baba. Shirdi Sai. He had gone to Shirdi. By that time, he had a little bit of belief that God does exist. Because there was an interesting story that happened. That when my father was in year 10, he was really scared that he won't get a job after he passes out of high school, and then he won't be living a comfortable life. So he said, "Okay, God, I'm going to make a deal with you. I'm going to take your name 108 times every night before I sleep, and I want you." Every night he would say that he would put on the bed sheet, and under the bed he would take God's name 108 times, so that his sisters and brothers and parents do not come to know that he's actually praying to God, because he was a proud atheist at that time. So he started doing that. Year 11, year 12 passed, and he was in his college, and he went for an interview at the Air Force as an Air Force officer, and the deadline for the call letter had already passed, or it was really very close or something, and he hadn't received the letter. So he said, "I wasted 2.5 years or 3 years or something chanting your name and nothing's happening." So that night, apparently he went to the altar and he abused God, left, right and center. And his parents and sisters were all saying, "What are you doing? Don't do this." And he was like, "No, what kind of a God is he if he cannot even save me when I've been praying to him for so long?" And apparently he said, he told God, it was his family deity, was Srinivaag Balaji, the same one that my grandfather prays to. And he said, "I wasted so much time on you. You're a useless person. I shouldn't have wasted my time." And he went to sleep.
Wow.
That night, my father says he still doesn't know if it was a dream or reality, but he saw God standing in front of him. And he said, "Why are you angry with me?" And my father said it was so peaceful, the atmosphere, that he had forgotten all about the anger that he had towards him. And then apparently God asked him, not Swami, but Tirupati Balaji, he asked him, "What do you want?" And my father said, "I want to join the Air Force." He said, "Oh, is it? Tomorrow your call letter is coming," he said. And then he disappeared. And my father said, when that was happening, he actually pinched himself to see if it was real or not. And he actually felt the pain. So he doesn't know if it was a dream or what. And the next day, my father bath, and his sister came knocking on the door, and she said, Balaji, that's my father's name. "You know what?" And my father was inside, and he said, "Go there, collect my letter. My call letter has come." And she said, "How did you know?" And he said, "I just know." So that was how he became aware of the possibility of the existence of something beyond physical.
That's an amazing family you've been born into.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty lucky. I'm very lucky.
And you have many stories to top those, because I've already heard them.
Well, yeah.
So who came first to Baba, your dad or your mom?
My dad. Oh, well, I don't know, but we all together came to Swami. We all saw Swami for the first time together. After Swami's Mahasamadhi, the first time I went to see the Samadhi was in 2012, New Year, so 1st of January. I'd been there, and that night I had a dream of Swami in Puttaparthi. And Swami was having something in his hand. Swami was sitting on a chair, and I saw his hand, and I've always been, "What's there in your hand, Swami?" I said, "Look, Swami, what's there in your hand?" And he wasn't ready to show me. And I said, "Swami, you need to show me." And he said, No. Then I said, "Swami, you better show me." And then he put his hand over my head and he opened his palm. From there, a stream of Amrit started to flow and flow and flow.
Oh, wonderful.
I was bathed in it, and it was so delicious. It was wonderful. It was nothing like honey or anything like that. It's much more, 1,000 times more pleasurable, and you can't get tired of it. So that was the thing that happened. That triggered the actual spiritual path as such. Even though I'd had experiences, we had miracles happen, and we'd been to homes, then I started meditating every day, very soon after that. And as I was meditating one day, I heard I saw a video of Amma Karunamai. And she said, you should never miss a single day of meditation. She said, unless the only exception is if you are ill. Otherwise, every day you must meditate. Every day in the morning, the cool breeze will be blowing and you should sit and meditate. And I thought, that's a really nice thing. I should stick to this discipline. So the next day, I sat down to meditate in the early morning. And I found that for the first time, my mind just went, it was gone. I didn't have a single thought. This was 2013 or 2012 December, 2013 January or something. The mind just went, and I was thinking, what's happening? The next moment there was a fountain of bliss, is what you can call it, that erupted from my heart. And I thought, my God, what's going on? Because I never experienced something like that before. It's absolutely out of the world. I experienced it, and I remember thinking to myself, is this the Atma? Am I self-realized? The thing was that started the journey from there, and I started meditating every day. And after that, I began to notice that my mind started to quieten more and more, and I started to have intuitions.
Before we move on, we'll resume with the intuitions in 1 second. Give me an idea, because I'm always curious. How long or how short did that interval last for you?
Okay, the experience?
Yes, the bliss.
It was a few minutes, I think, in the beginning. And then for 2 or 3 days after that, at will, I could go into that state.
Can you still do that?
Pretty much. Now it's more constant than before. Yeah.
It's more constant.
Yeah.
Does this mean
Sorry?
Does this mean I'm talking to a young man right now who's in this elevated transcendent state?
No. It's not like there is one state of bliss and you jump into it when you want and you calm down. It's like a whole shade of colors. So there's lighter colors and there's darker colors. You can and if you practice and if you keep Swami in your mind all the time, if you keep divinity in your mind all the time, you can continue to move up and up like a wave.
I absolutely love this. A 21-year-old boy from Perth teaching a 71-year-old man the various shades of bliss.
Well, it's an amazing place to explore. And bliss is not just one thing. You can have different flavors of it as well. It's basically like Amrit. So you can have rose water. You can have some other flavor. You can have some other flavor, and each flavor has different intensities. Yeah. So it's a whole playground of its own.
Okay, so on this path, you're explaining the bliss, which to me is the greatest topic to talk about of all, next to Swami. But you were about to talk about your abilities at intuition. Go there for the next couple of minutes.
So what happened was that I would have these experiences of bliss 2-3 days, and then it stopped. Then I went into a depression mode. And that happens, well, not depression as in depression, but I was pretty sad. I was sad that this wonderful experience had gone. Then it took a few months for it to come, and then it went again. Come and went again. And I had that sort of an up and down and up and down. Now it's more constant. But what happened in the meanwhile was that what I realized was that these experiences are basically processes that help clear the nervous system to prepare it for something higher. So if you're a small bulb, 10-watt bulb, and you're given 1,000 volts in the beginning, you'll not be able to take it. So it comes in small bursts to get you accustomed to it. So elastically, over time, you're able to have the capacity to hold a larger energy field, if you like. So that happened, and then as time passed, I think my basically what you can call intuition, or some people say contact with Swami or whatever. Basically, I was able to ask questions. It's not like hearing Swami. A lot of people I meet, and people, they say hearing Swami's voice, hearing Swami's voice. But mostly, I feel it's my personal experience that mostly it's just a product of the mind. Unless you have done really good sadhana and you've been a meditator for lots of years and things like that. and your mind is really silent, till then you can't be 100% confident that it is Swami who's speaking. So for me, it was never a voice; it was just a feeling within me. In a lot of scriptures as well, in Indian scriptures, you can see examples of people who have had omens, OMEN,
Yes.
and before something happens, before something good happens, to tell them what's happening. Part of their body for males starts, vibrating or twitching, and the eyes flutter, things like that. And or the left side, if it's something that's not so good that's coming. So basically what started happening was that I think this is the kind of scheme that I've put these experiences into to make sense out of them, is that probably my nervous system was getting a bit clearer. And so I was beginning to have these kind of tactile signs. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was from Baba. Now that I think about it, you could as well put any other name there. You could say that you were more in tune with nature.
Right.
The main thing I found is that these omens and whatever, being in tune with nature or Swami, questions and answers continue as long as there is a mind. And you don't want to get caught up in that. You want to go beyond that. Should I write this in my exam paper? Should I write that in my exam paper? Should I buy this or should I buy that? Instead, nowadays, my practice has been more recently to just have my mind on Swami, not to ask him for anything. Just keep it on Swami, and then that brings the real ecstasy. You can very quickly go to a much higher level if you stop thinking about Swami, but just think Swami. If you stop asking Swami for this and that, and if you just think about your conception of the divinity that you have in your mind, you just keep your mind on that for as long as you can throughout the day, and that takes you really high. And that's what I do.
How do your parents feel about what you've been telling me? Because this is just a wonderful story.
Well, when I first, it was an amazing experience for me, and I had no clue of what this was in the beginning. That was 5-6 years ago, and they had no clue what it was. Nobody knew what this was. But over time, we just got used to it, and well, they've had pretty amazing experiences as well. My father's had pretty amazing things happen, and we all learn from each other. But the thing is, there was one point that you said, which is pretty interesting, that Swami gives these things to some people. But the thing is, you can have a shop, an ice cream shop, and yes, only some people get the ice cream. But how many people come to the ice cream shop and ask for the ice cream? Right. So in my terminology, it is not that Swami chooses and then gives. Yes, that does happen. But more importantly, it is personal effort. If you Yogananda meditated for I don't know how many hours, how many years, and how many lifetimes, after which he became a Yogananda. It's not that Swami chose that, okay, you are Yogananda, I'm going to give you this blessing. No, that's not how it works. I think it's more of an effort-based thing, that you put in your effort and then grace comes.
Yes.
I think it's effort.
And then not so long ago, we had a conversation on Skype. It wasn't recorded. I wish it would have been. I'm going to start recording all of our conversations, I think. So I asked you about your meditation, and you surprised me, and yet it wasn't a surprise, by telling me that you don't meditate now like you once did, or at least in the same way or the same frequency. Is that true, and why?
It's I don't know in what context I said that, but what I have realized is I have been meditating for a long time. Well, not a long time, it's been a very short time. 5 years is very less. It's actually very less. But
when you're 21, that's a long time.
But when I started to meditate and I started having experiences, I realized that there was something of great importance here. That if I invest my time into this one thing, that I'll be able to extract a lot more out of life. I'll be able to live life more fully. So I did that. I used to spend a lot of time meditating, sitting and meditating. But then I realized, and now even very recently, few days, few weeks, few months ago, come to realize that the most important meditation, sitting meditation is good. Once apparently a lady in Australia went to Swami, and in the interview room, she said, "Swami, please teach me how to meditate. Please teach me how to meditate." Swami said, no, 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 no. She kept pestering Swami, Swami, please teach me to meditate. And then Swami said, what is this? And she said, Swami, meditation. And Swami said, no, this is a Westerner wasting her time. And then Swami said, eating meditation, sleeping meditation, walking meditation, talking meditation, that is real meditation. So what I have realized is that sitting is okay, doing that 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day is okay. What's more important is to keep the circuit going between one session you have and the other session. You need a link, otherwise the energy will just drown down. So what you need is constant namasmarana, constant repetition of the name or the symbol of God that you, or divinity or nature or whatever, that keeps you in contact with that. And that can take you very, very, very far, much further than what meditation can do as a sitting.
Hi there. I want to interrupt this video for a second. So before going any further, I have a chance to tell you exactly how Jody and I came to learn of Sriraag. First, one day out of the complete blue, I get this email from a gentleman living in Australia who's offering to tell me about a website for Souljourns that he can help me with if I'm interested. Well, I immediately say, yes, who wouldn't be interested? Go ahead and share more with me. And what he sent me was a wonderful, pristine, beautiful website called Souljourns, something I really didn't have before of that stature. Sriraag built this website. He outright gave it to us, no strings attached, and he has maintained it for years. So who is this guy, Sriraag, from the other side of the world, Perth, Australia, helping us out? As I recall, it was Sai Baba, as I would talk to him about this over the years to come, it was Sai Baba who inwardly guided Sriraag to do all this work for us. And as I recall even further, it was Baba not just requesting Sriraag to do it, but instructing Sriraag to do it, telling him to do this work. Finally, the final chapter of this brief story of this old man sitting here in America and this mature-sounding, seasoned professional engineer somewhere in Perth, Australia, doing all the seva for us. So let's get back to the interview and you'll hear the rest of the story. We allowed it to go without us seeing each other. I didn't know how to Skype back then. Without talking to each other. I wasn't quite sure how to reach you. We did this through the internet and through emails. And finally, one day, Jody sort of planted the idea in my head, we got to find out what this man in Australia's background is all about. What kind of a career must he have had? Dear Sriraag, tell me something about yourself. Dear Ted, I'm a 16-year-old high school kid. We laughed and laughed and laughed. We were just so impressed at what you did on your own as a high school kid to benefit a seva project that's useful to people from all over who watch these videos. Thank you, officially.
I don't remember too much of what happened, but yes, I was very interested in, I had seen your website earlier and I'd seen it before and I had an interest in, I always wanted to do something with websites, so I just started doing it. I thought, a high school kid telling somebody like Ted, that they want to do a website for them is probably not going to work. So I just made it on the side, and I thought probably it'll never go online, and just made it all. And after I did everything, then maybe I should give Ted a shout out and tell him that. And I'll probably hide my identity for as long as I can. That's what I did. And then I emailed you, and you said, yeah, go for it. And then we just went ahead. Then one day you asked me, I remember you sent me one email saying, so how old are you, what do you do? And I completely ignored that question and jumped to the next one. But then eventually it did come out. But yes, Swami was, I think more than serving others or anything like that, I think it really, really benefited me. I think it benefited me a lot, very much. I remember when I would be putting up these videos, there would be times that I would be overflooded with love. Those things, experiences you have in meditation is another. But when you're doing normal work and you're not even thinking about Swami, and such a thing comes over you, you know that there is grace flowing. So I knew it was the right thing to do. Oh, that's right. And it helped me a lot. I remember that the first video I saw of Souljourns was the one I saw about Swami's classmate. His was the one, and then I got attracted to Souljourns, and then during my holidays, every day I'd watch a 1 hour video of Souljourns, and I got addicted to Souljourns eventually.
You've helped, and now you're becoming a medical doctor. Can you tell me why you chose that field of all the fields you could think of?
I really don't know. Again, I think everything in our life, probably consciously or unconsciously, it's just Swami who's been guiding. And he's made you, he's put the thought in your mind, and then he waters the thought so that the plant comes and there's a fruit, and he takes the fruit and he enjoys it for himself. I think it's just like that. I don't know why, how it happened, but I do remember, and I do know that Swami had a pretty important role in guiding me towards getting into this field, if I may say so. Swami's hand. That's all I can say. We have known Swami for so long. Swami's been saying things for 85 years, 86 years, whatever. And some of Swami's teachings, if you have the eye to perceive the intensity and the importance of what he's given out, it's just mind-blowing. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. And unless you've practiced it and you know it, you will just think, oh, it's just another one of those Sai Baba discourses. But every sentence, now after 5 years of doing some spiritual practice, I realize that every sentence that Swami spoke, so much meaning. There's so much meaning. And the best way you can love Swami is to love all and serve all. Swami once gave me my dream. And he asked me, what is my message? And I'm saying, oh my God, there's 34, 35 volumes of Satya Sai speaks. How am I going to tell him what his message is? And then he looked at me and he smiled, and then he winked at me and he said, love all, serve all. I think what is very important, what I was saying earlier was that it is good to do a lot of work for Swami. All that is good, but you need to also do some internal work, and for that sadhana is absolutely required. The Swami has spoken about bliss and all that for so long. When I used to read it earlier, I used to not understand a thing, and now when I read it, I'm like, oh my God, Swami, wow. But the thing is, you have to put in the work. Sai devotees, Swami once said, it's not the character of Sai devotees to try something and then stop if they're not getting the result. You have to keep at it. And have the determination. Once you have asked for the thing that ought to be asked, you're not supposed to give up. So I think that is what it is. You need to continue your sadhana, whatever your sadhana may be, namasmarana, meditation, whatever. You go up to the point till you get what you want.
I want to thank you again for this. It's been exceptionally fun for me, and I learned a lot. Sriraag, thank you. God bless you. Many good years ahead, and Sriraag.
Thank you, Sai Ram. Thank you.